When it comes to making enemy AI, you need to make sure that there's a good balance between difficulty and mastery. We're going to take a look at how I designed my enemies and NPCs to provide a good challenge for the player, while also not making it feel like Dark Souls. Make sure to caress the notification bell so you know when I post a new video. Also join the Discord. Since my game is a roguelike, health is going to be the primary resource. This means getting hurt is a big deal for the player, especially if you decided to focus all of your points on strength. I decided to go with the swarm approach. By default, you can mark enemies to swarm, which means if you hit an enemy, it starts a chain reaction, causing all nearby enemies to attack the player. It would be really weird if you were in a group and the others were just sort of watching you as their brethren got slaughtered by the little man with an axe. This means you need to be careful when fighting in groups, otherwise you might bite off more than you can chew. It also just makes sense, especially with the hornet enemies, because it feels like they share a hive mind anyway. To make them chase the player, I used grid-based pathfinding. Whenever I generate my world, each collision tile is added to a map, which is used not only in pathfinding, but also collision resolution as well. Indexing a hash table is a very quick operation, which ended up making my game run much faster as a result. So that was kind of a nice bonus. Another tricky issue was ranged combat. I haven't even gotten around to programming lots of enemy behaviors, but I knew that I was going to need a lot of ranged attacks. So to test it out, I made an angry version of the Hornet that's just a little bit stronger and faster, except it shoots a honey blob at the player. The twist is that if you try to get too close to it, it'll fly away so it can shoot at you from a distance. This means melee combat isn't always the best option, which is exactly what I wanted. It feels like in a lot of RPG games, there are so many cool items that have so many cool effects, but in almost every practical scenario, they end up being useless. Item bloat is a really easy trap to fall into when it comes to games like these. While melee and Earthward is more powerful, it can be riskier because you'll get hurt more. Ranged attacks are less powerful, but you have more mobility and can damage long-range enemies. It wasn't me. NPCs function a little differently. They walk around randomly, but like enemies, they'll walk back to where they spawned if they go too far away. Shopkeepers are kind of lazy and they don't move unless you try to kill them. I ran into a problem here very quickly, but it wasn't necessarily a bad one. I wanted to make it so that I could have smart NPCs that fight more like a player would, by strafing and jumping around and all that stuff. But upon testing, I realized I made the smart AI just a little bit too strong. I mean, I would literally attack them and they would detect that I'm about to attack them, and then strafe away or jump to dodge my attack. Now, in all fairness, I did want to make them hard to kill, sort of like how the merchant is in Vagante. I fixed this problem by adding a slight delay before the NPC attempts to strafe or dodge. This makes it difficult to fight them, but not impossible. Though, good luck trying to kill the wizard. Overall, I think it's pretty interesting how enemy behavior ended up tying into so many other game elements, and it made me think about how I want to design enemies in the future. If you want to support development on Earthward, become a Patreon supporter or just share these devlogs. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.